Does it say it's recording on your end?
Yeah.
All right. I figured it out. I can be a little out of touch, so I was just like, yeah, let me hop on Zoom. Okay. All right. Google Meet is a very effective.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've never done Google Meets.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we had a small business a few years ago where we were interviewing like first time book writers. So that was like right before the pandemic, before companies were like, oh, why don't we just like, Teams, Google, Zoom, they're like, oh, if we can like make this a utility for companies that don't want to meet in person.
Yeah.
So we were like all over the internet finding random like European free streaming like online meeting websites and stuff like that. So
yeah,
now that I'm in the corporate world, I don't have to do that. So I'm like a newbie now. Okay. But yeah. I don't want to eat up too much of your time. If you're ready, we can like go ahead and just get into it.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not in a rush.
Okay.
Good. I'd honestly shot myself in the foot. While my wife was at work, I completely, our 2 rooms we have upstairs, I completely switched like everything.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that she would like it. She didn't like it. So now I have to deal with it. So,
What were you just rearranging the furniture?
yeah, I moved literally everything. Like our room was in the other room, and I moved our room over here, and this was like my music room and like kind of game room, and now that's all over there. So she didn't like it.
Oh man, oh that hurts my feelings.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah. So no, I'm good now.
Okay. Cool. Well, first off, I want to say congratulations on the new album, Love Me All the Same.
Thanks, boss.
Yeah, it's on all DSPs, right? So Spotify, Apple,
everything except SoundCloud.
Yeah. Well, get your money, man. Get your money. I mean, I guess you could get the premium, but yeah. All right. So it's out on all streaming platforms. And then also, I was looking at your numbers because I don't know how long ago I started, the whole MEDIAL thing. That was, I guess, over a year ago. And so for those who don't know, I'm saying this like a bunch of people are going to watch this. I made a playlist before I started doing everything. I was making the playlist first. And before I like honed in on the more rap avenue, I was just trying all the different, I was just making playlists for all the different type of music that I was into. So I made this playlist called Tame Impala for Christians. And I think Spotify recommended your music. So I was just like, oh yeah, this works. And so I just threw it in there. And I think from that time, you were maybe in the double digits when it came to Spotify numbers. But the last I checked, like I just checked today, you are hitting like a little bit over 1,000 monthly listeners, man.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. Well, I have to say, last year when I had the last project come out, I got up to like a couple hundred. That was all natural, and that was really cool. But yeah, this year with Love Me All the Same, I did pay to get a little playlisting, and that's really the reason why Love Me All the Same is like got me to those numbers. But still, it's definitely an accomplishment.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's well deserved. I'm glad if you're getting more eyes on you now, I'm glad it's with this iteration of your music, because as I said over the phone, this is like my favorite album from you to date. Very focused, very singular. It's got a whole theme, which we're going to get into. So being the fact that I've never actually interviewed an artist before, I'm going to do like the basic questions, and then we can get a bit more specific. Okay. So first off, how did you I feel weird about asking this question, but it's fine. How did you come to the faith, I guess? Was this always a thing for you, or was this like I was living this way and then left turn? How did this happen for you?
Yeah, more the second second one. So try and answer quick in a short story. So I'm only 21. I'll be
really
coming up in July.
Oh wow.
So I'm really young. So when I was 18, I was living alone. Dropped out of school. I had quit my job, and I was living like my grandma's house that she like never is at. So I was living alone, and I was addicted to drugs, and I was getting worse into that. And a lot of things that just happened. I was also making music under another alias. And then basically came to Christ that way. And in that dark time, and that was in 2021 in the summer. And my cousin had told me the gospel, and it just kind of went from there.
Wow.
Yeah. So after that, I started going to church with him. I got baptized. I deleted all of my old alias music. And then because I still made music, and so I was like, okay, what do I do now? And so then I figured I would just go under my name. And so then it was like, okay, do I make Christian music, or like do I? So the first stuff I've got is really like, it's like weird to me, because it's like I don't know, it's just like doesn't know what it is, but yeah. So anyways, then ended up going back to school, graduating, full-time job now, and all those things, married, all the stuff. So yeah, that's kind of a short summary, I guess.
Wow. That got pretty deep very quickly. I don't know. I think it's maybe so were you born and raised in Tennessee?
Yeah. I didn't grow up going to church. When I did, it was like on Easter or something. Right. Yeah. So I always like specifically hated church though, like growing up. So
what were your apprehensions to church life and things like that?
Well, the churches I would go to were like always super weird. Like they were either like overly Baptist, or they were way too non-denominational. Like there was both extremes of common day. And I just hated my dad would always make me wear, something like churchy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I assume now, faith-wise, you're landing in that middle ground. So we're not like, overly, you better not be tapping your foot in church, but also we're not turning flips over the altar.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I nowadays, I mean, I just try and go to a church that like just preaches the Bible like how it is. And now currently that happens to be a non-denominational church in Nashville. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I was born and raised in Tennessee, so we're Bible Belt, church on every corner type thing. So yeah. And Nashville, there's a good, I think, diversity and plethora of like church communities. So I think you're definitely well taken care of out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is crazy. I wish I known, I would have been like, oh man, I should really get into like his married life. But we don't, we don't have to do that. Maybe on part 2 or something like that. But I do want to transition to talking about your music, your musical journey. Love Me All the Same. Again, out now on all DSPs. So I noticed. I think I've maybe heard about 4, maybe. I don't know how many projects at this point, but if I go to your Spotify, it seems like those have been taken down.
Oh, yes. So, well, I've had a total of 3 albums now.
Mm-hmm.
The first album I had came out the day I graduated high school in 22, and second album came out last year, and the third album just came out. They haven't been taken down, just the album covers are different.
Okay.
So I had people make both of the previous album covers. I had different people make them. And something about it just like nagged at me over time. And recently I realized like I really didn't like it. And so I wanted to feel more original to the music, because I believe, like we were talking about the other day, I believe that the music should line up with the cover. I feel like it should go hand in hand. So for that reason, I went back and I changed it.
Okay. Yeah. I remember there was one cover. I hope I'm not confusing it with something else, but it looked like it was Jesus with a guitar.
Yeah, that was the first album I have. It's and my brother actually drew that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It was hard. That one took a long time to like kind of come to a decision to change it, I guess.
So. Yeah. I remember because I'm kind of a futurist, so when I listen to an artist, I try to also think of the trajectory of where they may be headed 2 or 3 years down the road. And I was like, I like the way this looks, but I don't know if this actually speaks to the sensibilities that I think I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But your brother is clearly a phenomenal artist, so maybe down the line, you know what I'm saying, y'all gotta have a conversation, make something else happen. If you don't mind, actually, can you talk about the inspiration for the cover, which I thought was really interesting?
Yes. So actually, I have it right here.
Yo, that vinyl looks sick, by the way.
Thank you. I am greatly appreciative that I have that. It still blows my mind that I have that. Okay, so here's the cover.
That's awesome.
So the picture is just a picture I took with my camera last August downstairs in the mirror, and when I took it, I had no intentions of like, I was still like on kind of like a hiatus from making stuff. So like, I took the picture. I had no like motive of like, oh, this is gonna be, the next cover or whatever. But a couple weeks later, I was just doodling on my phone, and then I got that and I started editing it and stuff. I'm like, oh, this would be cool. But so it's basically just that picture, but with like a little editing, and then obviously this line right here. That was inspiration for that was Childish Gambino's album. What album is it? It's
Bando Stone.
Yeah. When it's got the rainbow.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that'd be a cool little addition I could do.
Yeah.
So that's how this yellow came to be. And then the Love Me All the Same, I told you, there's a Marvel movie related to the X-Men.
New Mutants.
the New Mutants, and the title, the way they designed the title is it's like kind of like handwritten like this, so, and it's yellow, and so that's where I got this, and then I made this yellow because that was yellow, and then the only other thing on here is this little star at the very top. Yeah, I don't know if you can notice that, but anyways, there's an artist called Dayglow, and he had his 4th album come out last year, and it basically had like a star like that, like on the actual like sticker to go on the vinyl. So yeah, I just do it in there, give it more detail.
That's cool. That's really cool. I like how you brought all those details together. And then also, if you like, if you were to go to your Instagram right now, you would see a lot of the color palette and a lot of the aesthetic, the sort of mix of the neon color with the hand drawn. That's pretty consistent throughout all the reels and pictures you're doing as well.
Yeah, yeah. Some of those are like not on purpose either. But most of them, yeah, they're. I'm trying to keep that aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. If you were to describe your music, I know what words I would want to use, but I'm gonna reserve that. I can maybe share mine on the back end. But how would you describe the genre that you're coming, or maybe the genre that you're making? Because honestly, it's not too common that you hear Christian music like this too often.
I've been asked this a lot, and I always don't know. At first when I was ever making the first stuff I made, I would always try and tell people like, I'm the Christian so and so. You made it easy with the playlist you made. I'd always try and tell people I'm the Christian Tame Impala. And over the years, I've kind of got, I don't know, tired of that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be somebody else, but just in a different, label.
Right.
So I don't know. I've tried. I mean, I guess in world terms, I guess I would use alternative, indie, psychedelic, neo psychedelic, rock, pop, I guess. Although when I'm promoting a song and I have to check the boxes, that's usually the ones that I do. But if I was to describe it, I would say raw, extremely honest. I don't know. Those and then everything else, I guess.
Yeah, I think that works. Where you're describing the very general broad terms that we all understand. So you're talking psychedelic pop, neo psych rock, alternative, but then also the themes, which I will totally agree with. They're very just raw and very honest as well. Which is good because in contrast to the genre itself, I think a lot of psych and alternative, they can be these very lofty themes, but I think you do a really good job of connecting this sort of poetic lyricism that you have with this really honest story.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are the terms I said, are those the ones you would use, or do you have other ones?
Mine wouldn't be too far from that. You actually kind of got into it a little bit with saying it was easy when I was hitting you with the Christian Tame Impala label.
Yeah,
and you're like, all right. But I remember when we were texting initially, you I think I had brought that up too, and then you had also mentioned around that time, it was a few months ago, that you were saying, yeah, Kevin Parker, yeah, Jeff Lynne, Electric Light Orchestra, those guys are influences, but I'm really looking to sort of cultivate my own lane now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, we did. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also cool because I mean, I think that journey that you're on, I've seen just in Christian music in general. I don't know if you know who Xavier Omar is.
No.
Okay, so when he came out, he was I think his name was SPZRKT, and he was making this really cool pop experimental R&B Christian music.
Yeah.
And because we didn't have anything like that at the time, people would be like, "Oh, he's like our Frank Ocean. He's our version of The Weeknd," and he hated that so much. But since then, he's kind of transitioned, and he's really kind of become his own version of like indie R&B type music. But like it helps people just connect immediately to the very broad base idea. So I think you've done a really good job at cultivating your own lane.
Cool. I think with this project has been the most self-defined. I don't know, like my own lane,
right?
Starting at least starting the show, I guess. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Diving a little deeper, what was the initial spark that actually got you into even making music?
Well, so I've been around music my whole life. I've always had a bunch of different angles of music genres throughout my life. Like when I was like really little, like 3 or 4, my oldest brother was off at college, and he had left his drum set at the house. He couldn't take it, and so me and my dad, we would like I would just play on the drums, and he would play on the guitar. But after that, my oldest brother is about like 37, and then my older brother is like 33, and so they were in high school, and they were in college whenever like 2010, like late 2000s, like Tame Impala, who else? I don't know, Foster the People, just a bunch of like that sound kind of coming about. And so I was around that, and I was just a kid, and they were bumping that. And so it was always the music that was cool because that was their music, So, and then my mom, always liked like R&B, like funk. She always had a heart for that. And then my dad was always like classic rock, like Zeppelin, AC/DC, just classic rock. And so I always carried these songs nobody knew about, So when I got older, me and my buddy, we tried to have a band for a couple of years, and it was the first time I got to kind of like play with somebody else and like make stuff up. Well, that kind of fell through. And then it's actually funny. Right before COVID happened in 2020, I'd overheard some kids at lunch talking about Tame Impala. I'd never heard of Tame Impala, And so months later, I was in this probably my first big breakup, and COVID had happened, so I was out of school, and one night I just like thought like, oh, I'm gonna look that up on Spotify. So that's when I realized, I dug deeper, and I was like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
And, I realized like he does it all by himself. I was like, and so that was really the big bomb that exploded, and I kind of set out on this path to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I remember the first time I heard Tame Impala, me and my friend were at a Mellow Mushroom, which already has a vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And so they kept playing this freaking awesome synthy sounding music. And I remember I was annoying I felt like I was annoying the waitress because I was just like, excuse me, what is this? And she was just like, I don't know. And then she went back and she's like, they keep saying it's called Tame Impala. I don't know. And then I had the brilliant idea, oh, I can just Shazam it. And so I remember Shazamming it and just going home and just like listening to it. I was on a run listening to it. And then that summer, Tame Impala was everywhere because he was doing all the festivals and stuff like that. So yeah. I got hip right before he like exploded. So
yeah,
that's cool, man. That's cool. All right. So finally, let's get into some of the album. Opening song is called Dad. I think that song, I was actually at work when I started to like listen to the album top to bottom. I think that's the first song off the album. Incredibly moving, very charming and very sweet as well. Can you talk about the inspiration behind the song Dad?
Yeah. So I came home one day. This was last year. This was before the last project the last album I had came out, and I came home one day from work, and I was just like, I just want to make like I wanted to make a song that like just had like acoustic guitar and just had a steady drum beat. And so then I proceeded to make, like Dad. And when it came to like start singing and like add lyrics and stuff, I was really learning at the time. I was really like kind of, I don't know. I'll word this. I had just realized, I think, like why my parents had gotten divorced when I was just like a kid, and like they ended up, having an affair and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff I never knew about.
Oh wow!
There was this kind of this small little season where like I kind of like I'm married, and so like I was learning about all these things, like I'm taking after my parents with, and it's contributing to my marriage now in negative ways. And there's a season where I was like mad at my parents, like without them knowing that like they did that, like I'm paying for those things. So anyways, it led to this time where like I had to really like kind of like create this mindset of like God is my dad of all. And it's like when I was writing that song, I tried to think as many things as possible like that felt weird to say like to God with, because like even like I had to go to this time where like even calling God dad, like praying and stuff, like felt really weird. Like it was like, why is this weird? Like this shouldn't be weird for me. So I had to go to that time, and when I was making that song, it was like, oh, okay, let's see how many things I can like write that are like challenging for me.
Wow.
And just having like a super fun time like writing the song. So like things like like I don't sing perfectly, or like I don't sing perfectly, I don't always fit in the harmony, but you don't mind. That was like, because like people have always, at least when I first started making music, people always criticized my voice. And so like that's something I've always like had to deal with. And so stuff like that though, like that are super personal. Yeah. So that's kind of a exaggerated answer, but yeah.
No, one, that's outstanding. Because one, I definitely identify with trying to relate to God as a father. Especially within this season of my life, I've really become reacquainted with God as a loving father. But then also just being like, "You're my daddy," like that still is that's a bit of a challenge. It's a bit of a challenge, a little bit. So, but then to even take that and then put a challenge on yourself to display that vulnerability by calling God Yahweh, the God that led the Israelites out of Egypt, and calling him dad, like that, that takes I think a high level of maturity. Even the challenge of saying like, okay, what are the things that I'm insecure about that I know I could go to my father about? Did anybody like, I don't know, encourage you to do that writing exercise, or was that something that you were just like, no, let me do this for myself?
Well, so there's this guy that like has really changed my life, and that was kind of last year, the beginning of the year, like it really started to affect me and called me into that kind of. His name's Mark DeJesus, and he's really big on like religious OCD,
Yeah,
like just a bunch of stuff like that is really like not talked about a lot.
Right.
And just like unconditional love and stuff like that. And so I really have to think he like I don't know him personally. Like he just, has a ministry on YouTube and like writes books and stuff. But he is probably, half the reason this project exists, because he was kind of the breadcrumbs to me coming to think about these things and like facing these things head on. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that contributed to a really, really effectively executed project, specifically with this song. There's also a monologue towards the end. Did I have the lyric for it?
The kid?
Yeah, I was going to ask, because it's a brilliant touch. Who's the kid? Who's the kid?
Okay. Who do you think the kid is?
I had two theories.
Okay.
I had two theories. The first one was, okay, this is a relative of some sort. Okay. Then I was like, what if it's Braden and Drake using an AI?
Okay, that's the second one.
Oh, what? That's crazy, man.
So I originally so like when I made Dad, I made it before the second album came out last year. And I had it, the second album came out and I was like, okay, like I'm done for a while. So like I sat on Dad till like the end of the year, or close to the end of the year, when like I went back and I finished it. And so I always had that last part that like I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to have a kid, saying, like these things. And so I tried my absolute hardest, because I didn't want to use AI. I tried my absolute hardest to try and figure out like vocal effects and like trying to think of who I could get to like say these things and record. And finally I was just like, I'm just gonna use AI. And so I got AI, like a kid, to say all of, I programmed, and then I cut it up and I fixed the crap out of it so nobody could, it was AI.
Yeah.
And then went with it.
Yeah.
You're the first person to say something about that. So
the only reason I even thought it could be AI is because I just saw like a documentary where Kanye, he rapped a whole verse, and he was telling his engineer, like, do it in my son's voice now. And so it was his voice, and then he put an effect on it, and it was his son's voice rapping the whole thing. And I was like, whoa, that's insane. Wow. That was fresh. So that was just fresh on my mind. So that was a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant touch, man. Brilliant touch. Also, there's a line, I think, in the monologue of the kid. where he says something to the effect of this love is something I'm unfamiliar with. And it actually reminded me of this. It was like a prayer rap that DMX did. Because, DMX, he was a Christian, but obviously he was struggling with some things. Yeah. And he was asking God, please be patient with me, because people have shown me love before, but the second I do something wrong, they've stepped away. Versus you, regardless of what I do, you're always there. And that's a little bizarre to me. So please be patient with me, because this is just unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, I didn't even know that about DMX. DMX is the dude that's got like X gonna give it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, the monologue. I'm trying to remember all of it. But yeah, I loved the last part where the kid says, and to know that I'm your boy. I'm pretty sure that's what it said. I forgot. But and to know that I'm your boy, and then it repeats. It like glitches out and it repeats and stuff, and that's always cool to, because I like to imagine the kid is me. Just like I like to think like the song is like a duet with the kid, but it's little me. And so like going back and listening to that, that's always like cool to hear that.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome, man. It is also giving me new context. So when I go back to listen to it for like the 5th time, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is crazy. By the way, my screen lit up while you were talking, and that's because my roommate, not my roommate, my neighbor who lives right above me, she likes to prance around. So I hope that doesn't show up in the recording. But
honestly, I didn't even notice it.
Okay. Cool. Hopefully it won't show up. And then I guess this is one of the lead singles, title track, Love Me All the Same, featuring, is his name Come With Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a bigger, broader exploration of vulnerability. Do you mind getting into that a little bit?
Yeah, let's go. So that was the first song that I actually had wrote for this project. That's kind of I mean, I think it's like the soul of the album, like the cornerstone. But dude, when I had made the initial part, like the initial first 2 verses and the choruses. One night I couldn't sleep, and so I came in here, and I like snuck out of the bed so my mom didn't get upset. I came in here and I just started noodling, and I was like, dude, I gotta like, it's like, I just have times where like I was like, I've got to get something out of me, and that was one of those times. And I'd made like the initial riff on the piano, and once I did that, I was like, okay, we got to run with it. And so I put together some stuff. I sampled some drums, and I put it together, and I had like the initial thing. And so I airdropped it to myself. And the next morning at work, I started writing out the song. And yeah, it was just, I was really getting hammered with the unconditional love. Here was like was a really huge revelation of all of that. And so all of that just kind of got sucked up and poured into this. But Love Me All the Same is like, because like I've been really good at beating myself up, like and like really bad about like policing myself in a abusive way, like since I became a believer, and I've never really had anything other than that built on the foundation of my faith. So like this was like going back and like replacing that with Love Me All the Same. But like when I say like I start to hate myself, Like it's really like true, because like that happens all the time. Like
Yeah.
But I've never realized like I've that's what it is.
Right.
And this is kind of like me realizing it and like me jotting it down and I realize it. But I also like realizing like it's okay, you know, like there's no shame. And so, yeah. And then I originally made this, I wanted it to be like I make the beat and get other people to come on and sing on it. Dude, I reached out. Oh my gosh, dude. I reached out to so many people and they all shot me down.
Oh man.
Except for Come With Me.
Yeah.
Which his name's Malachi.
Right.
And anyways, he plays trumpet. That's one of the things he does. And I was like, dude, I would love for you to play trumpet on this. And he took me up and he sent me like 3 different takes, and I went with the third one. And yeah, but it was the hardest song to finish. Because I created for the most part of the song, and then I had to wait for him to get back with me and send me. And so then I had kind of like, I had made the cover and stuff, and so it's like, okay, now I'm starting this project. And so I made the rest of it, and Love Me All the Same was the one I had to come back at the very end.
Wow.
And it was really hard, but it happened. We got done.
Yeah. And so is Malachi, is he like a guy you know or a guy you met recently?
I met him last year when my second album came out. He's in like a small Christian community of people. He makes his own. He's got his own music.
Okay.
Spotify. You would actually like it if you haven't checked it out.
Okay, for sure.
Like beat tape type stuff.
Yeah.
And anyways, we had kind of met somehow over Instagram, and yeah, but he lives in New Jersey, and yeah, we were already like kind of talking, and I just figured I'd reach out to him.
For sure. Sidebar, how's it going with the journey of trying to get people to collaborate?
Oh, like now?
Yeah.
It's still pretty hard.
Yeah.
I've recently asked a few people, because the next thing I will have out will be either the very beginning of 2026 or the very, very end of this year. Will be the deluxe version of Love Me All the Same.
Right.
There's a lot of songs that didn't make the cut and that were just not finished. But I always love having remixes of my songs.
Right.
And I reached out to so many people, like trying to get like a couple of my songs remixed just for fun. And it's kind of been a struggle. So, but slowly but surely, I told you way back when, this Christian hip hop dude / like poetry rap, I sent him a beat I made, and he ran with it, and he's getting his engineer to finish it.
Hey, is this can you say his name? Are you allowed to? Is it NAL?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. After you sent me that link on Instagram of him, I checked his stuff out, and then I added some of his stuff to my playlist. I haven't reached out to him or anything, but I'm like, oh, this guy's nice. Yeah, he should. Yeah,
dude, he's really interesting, and he is perfect for me to collaborate with. And yeah, dude, he's got some cool stuff, really original stuff. Hopefully, I don't know when I talked to him like a month ago about it.
Yeah.
And still waiting on getting it like mastered and like produced really good. So it could be anytime this year, but I don't know. But you'll know
for sure. What have you heard back from? Have you and Nyreek linked up at all?
Who's Nyreek?
Nyreek Brown.
Oh, no, we haven't talked.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm down to dude. I'm down to do something with somebody that doesn't even have any following.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That to me, that's kind of that's one of the things I'm hoping to do is like instead of Christian, especially with Christian rappers, they're like saving up a few thousand so they can get a feature from No Big Deal or some other people. I'm like, bro, don't even just collab with the dude who will not even charge you a nickel.
Yeah.
And just build a platform outside of the the big three or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as Nyreek goes, I've spoken to him a few times. And I remember at one point he just kind of disappeared. And just based on the small interactions that we've had, I'm like, I bet he's out fasting or something. And then he just came back like a month ago and he hit me up and he was like, hey, sorry, I've been ghost. I went on a fast. And I was like, yeah, I figured. Like he's really bad at it. So it just seems like he's really trying to figure out that, or he's really trying to traverse that balance of like, all right, this is a thing I like to do, but I want to make sure it's God. I don't want to get too sucked up in the social media thing. So, which I totally commend. I applaud him completely. So,
yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of doing that.
Yeah.
At first, especially.
Yeah. I remember after the last album, you were like, all right, guys, I'm gonna take a break from social media.
Yeah. I took a pretty good one. I'm actually about to do one again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wanted to like not do it like as soon as like my thing comes out. And it's like I don't do any promotion. I just like, oh, it's out. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart, that's practical. Some people will just go ghost and they're like, oh, what happened to my following? You didn't feed the monster. You could have at least told people. Anyway. Yeah, that's good. I'm excited for that deluxe version, and I'm excited to hear what you and NAL cook up. So I'm excited for that. I do want to move on to I think I was a little confused. I'm not great with song titles. So when you asked me up front, hey, what's your favorite song? I was like, but you have this one great song. And you did a great reel for it too, just explaining the backstory, called Jeff Lynne If He Was 21.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And I didn't realize it was an actual sample from Electric Light Orchestra. Yeah, so like and it's just straight up instrumental. So what's going on there? How did that happen?
Well, so basically last summer I had really got into, I did like a deep dive on Electric Light Orchestra for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it inspired me like a ton. And so I had wanted to get, I've always like loved the idea of sampling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to like get better at doing it over the years. And I haven't done it a whole lot really, but this year I've done it, or last year I've done it quite a bit. And I made some cool stuff, not just like that's like out, but like stuff that just sit on my computer. I've made some pretty cool stuff. Actually, the song we're talking about with I Nail, that
did I
beat.
say his name wrong? Did I say his name wrong?
No, I don't know.
Oh, my bad. I thought we were sorry. We're talking about the rapper again. Okay. Go ahead.
Anyways, the beat I made that I sent to him was a sample that I had made the beat around.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so I took one of his songs and I just, for fun one day, I just took this part and I looped it and I just made a whole thing out of it. Mm-hmm. It was on, I wasn't even making it to like make it for the project.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to do it to just have fun. And so that's how that kind of came about. And then for fun, I just like named it like Jeff Lynne if he was 21, just like for giggles, just like I'm talking about me. It's like if like Jeff Lynne was, because he's the main dude behind Electrolyte Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
He's like almost 80 now, and it's like if he was one doing what he did, I'm sure that he would be sampling like I'm doing right now.
Right.
So I was kind of drawing that similar I don't know, character, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of, and then just having an instrumental. I love instrumental songs, and I feel like you don't have like a lot of Christian instrumental songs.
Mm-hmm.
People are like really like strict, like you've got to like have Jesus in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah.
The reason I wanted to have 2 instrumental songs is because I was like, dude, like this album is like about me, like just being a kid.
Yeah.
Like simple things, and it's like, dude, like it's kind of just doing whatever I want and like having that on there. So
yeah. I think that's great. I think I'm hoping, I don't know, this is the hopeful in me, but I hope that when it comes to Christian art, I guess in the West Side, you know, in America, will progress to the idea that Christian or articulating biblical truth doesn't just exist in the explicit content, how we say Jesus, where we say Jesus, but it's also in the form, how it's presented, the tones, the textures, you know, holding back, and then you bring in the chord, like maybe Jesus himself is characterized in the crescendo, not necessarily just the lyrics itself. So yeah, I think that's great. And I think it brilliantly adds to the tone of the album. It sounds like, okay, I'm learning to understand and I'm learning to allow God to love me. So he loves every part. He even loves like the music that I like. And so you doing the Jeff Lynne if he was 21, that's like you and God just kind of having a riff session, almost feels like.
Yeah. You're, I mean, exactly right. That's exactly what it was. And I was, yeah. And after the 3rd track, like I was like, dude, I put this in here, like nobody's going to expect like, this. To me, it's like so out of pocket, but like it kind of fits.
Absolutely. Yeah. I haven't talked about it much. I've talked about him and tagged him, and I think maybe I annoyed him to the point where he's just like, fine, I guess you exist. But the rapper Swoop. Yeah. Wake Up, his 2nd album is maybe one of my favorite albums of all time. Okay. And it's so great because it's a Christian rap album, but he is semi-classically trained and he's inspired by jazz music and orchestral cinematic music. So it's heavily inspired by Hans Zimmer, the guy who did the soundtrack for Interstellar, Inception, all the Gladiator. And so there's just moments where he's not even rapping. It's just like 3 minutes of like violin and beats. And it just sounds like you're not even listening to a rap album anymore. It sounds like you're just listening to a movie score. Yeah. Like it totally just takes you out and it kind of, you know, it really elevates the material. And I definitely think you've achieved a very similar thing with this piece right here.
Cool. Yeah. Hans Zimmer is awesome. And I was actually going through the other morning, going to work. I was actually listening to some of Swoop's discography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love Swoop. I'm hoping to write about him soon, some more. But there's just he's my favorite, and there's so much to his music. I kind of don't really know where to begin, but yeah. I don't want to take up too much time, so I want to ask you about one more. Okay, because we kind of covered the instrumental piece, so I'm gonna hit you with one more song, and then I'm gonna ask you maybe 2 more broad questions, and then we can be done if that's cool. Okay. I really like the song Sailor. It feels very British. It's giving me like it feels like something David Bowie would have written, kind of. But tell me, because that song actually kind of gets into my bigger, broader question. So please tell me about it's such a beautifully written song too. Can you tell me about The Sailor?
Yeah. British. That's yeah, that fits. Yeah. So The Sailor, I don't know, I don't know. It cracks me up whenever like I don't know, I talk about it because like it's so funny, like just having the name called Sailor. But anyways, I had wrote a lot of the album already.
Mm-hmm.
And I was home one Saturday by myself, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna write the next one. And then the night before on my piano, I was at this point I was kind of full of myself. I was like almost trying to like come up with something like super clever on the piano, and I had made whatever I was itching to make on piano. And so then the next day I had incorporated it and I started writing on it and stuff. And I somehow the idea of just like the sea and a sailor just was like, made me think of that. And so then I wrote it and I kept writing it, and I was like, I finally like got the idea for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's supposed to talk about me. I mean, it can mean a ton of things. But like the main thing is like me just realizing time has like evaporated, and I'm no longer a kid. I'm like in this thing, and like so many things have happened that I've never processed, and like just like time keeps changing. Like I feel like a sailor because like I'm constantly going to all these different places in my life, and it's a never thing. So yeah,
that's awesome. The themes of that song, I think, speak to a lot of just what I'm surveying. And it's interesting because I think there is something that maybe God is trying to articulate through the music overall, because you're a guy over here doing this alternative psychedelic Christian rock music, but I'm over here listening to these rappers and there's this similar theme I see happening. So it's something that seems to be a consistent, maybe just across the generation of men Christians that are coming up. But I think between you, some stuff I've heard from some other guys like Isaiah Velez, there is this overarching theme of, oh, I am transitioning into the early stages of male adulthood that I've come to know traditionally, where, okay, I'm a married man now. I'm going to start having kids soon, or I already have kids. I'm the ultimate breadwinner. I'm really starting to see the imperfections of maybe my parents manifest in me. Oh, I have these maybe traumatic childhood feelings that I now have to deal with. And there's this overarching thing, or this overarching narrative, that I know that I'm literally a man, but I still have these childlike fears.
yeah,
I feel like I may not be good enough, or there's an insecurity that what I am is not sufficient enough. And it's kind of cool because everyone's kind of coming to this conclusion, that, oh, I have to depend on something greater than me, which is God, so that I can be the man that I need to be. All these people kind of have different angles of how they come to that conclusion. And I think you've added just another essential piece of the puzzle, which is, oh, I should just relate to myself as the child that God sees me as, and relate to him as the father that I know he is. So how do you reconcile, those childlike sensibilities with, being an adult man who's also a believer in God?
Well, so I've kind of over the past year, especially with writing this, a lot of it has created like the foundation of that for me. Like there's been so many times I catch myself like in those times, and I look back on this, and I like one of the songs, and I'm like, I remind myself of like the place I was in when I wrote it. But like for me, I look at all of the great dads I know, and or even just great glimpses of, or just moments of fatherhood from random people, or even my dad. And like I really hone in on that, and I basically like tell myself like, okay, well, if they were so good at that, God is even better in that.
Yeah,
that's kind of like I've like assembled this like I don't know, this group of memories, just different moments that I've seen, or just ideas of like what a good dad is. And I remind myself of those things to fall back on when like I don't feel like anybody's proud of me, anybody, nobody sees me, nobody cares, all this stuff. I fall back on that. And yeah,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So last question. How are you such a wizard with the green screen? These videos are insane.
I saw where you posted today. I saw where you put insane period on the most recent thing I had come out. No, I don't know. I don't know.
You just don't know?
Okay,
all right.
I don't know, dude. I honestly just put it up and go with the flow. I don't know. I mean, it's technical wise, like I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
okay, yeah.
Seems like I'm not skilled in that area. I just, like, for example, with the thing I posted, I just literally put it up on this wall right here, and I was like, okay, I've got to have myself playing guitar, and then I got to have myself playing drums, and then I got to do myself singing, and there's something different for everything, and then I just honestly wanted to make a Spotify canvas.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I like finishing the video, so I was like, okay, I've got enough. I really liked the one kind of like a couple seconds, like where I had the glasses on and I had the jacket. I thought that was really cool and retro. So
yeah,
once I got that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't care.
Yeah,
well,
man.
The past stuff I've done though has been way more like focused. But the best one I've done has probably been like the Come Closer music video.
Yeah.
That one was pretty fun because like we were all together. We went to Goodwill to get a bunch of like 70s clothes, and then we came back and then we shot it, and we just acted stupid.
Yeah. I remember when I started this was like a year ago. I remember when you dropped that video, actually. My daughter, she loves to listen to, Christian music and all. She loves it when I put on music videos. So it came across, I think, on Instagram, and I saw it. And I was like, oh, let me play this on my television. And normally my daughter's like dancing around, but she was just enamored. She was just like, her eyes were huge. She was just staring at it. She was really taken by it. So
yeah,
something.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
great, and she wasn't on drugs, so that's amazing. That's the goal.
See, you can have this with your apple juice. You don't need cocaine.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed cocaine yet, so hopefully she won't see this. And then, are you excited for any of the Marvel movies coming out?
Yeah. So we got Thunderbolts, and we got Fantastic Four, third reboot. And that's just this year. Thunderbolts, I'm pretty excited about. I feel like it's gonna be underrated. Nobody's gonna see it coming. I feel like it's gonna be good. Fantastic Four, I'm hoping it is amazing.
Yeah.
It looks good. The cast looks good.
Yeah.
I think the bar is pretty low with Fantastic Four. So I'm hyped. I'm hyped for Avengers, the next two huge Avengers movies that are coming out in the next couple of years. So.
Yeah. That'll be I'm down for a good 5-hour Avengers movie.
Dude, I could watch 6 hours, bro. I can do it.
I want to see Ian McKellen. He didn't have to do much. Bend a car in half and then come in, meet some of these little goofy characters, and he's just kind of no nonsense. And he's just like, I don't have time for this buffoonery. And then he just, I don't know, bends a person in half and then he doesn't have to do much. I love Ian McKellen, so I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, dude, when they revealed his chair on that announcement, I watched that whole thing, by the way. While I was at work too, like I had my headphones on, so whenever they were about to play, like whenever the sound came up to show another chair, I'd run back to my desk and like watch. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope that they just can make good Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
The past couple of years since Endgame has been doggy poop.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, not everything, but for the most part.
Yeah. After Endgame, generally speaking, I was a little checked out. I was like, all right, I don't know why I'm still here. I guess I'll see what they'll do with Spider-Man, Black Panther, and that some of that stuff has been good. But I'm a little checked out, so I don't necessarily have the disdain that a lot of people have cultivated for Marvel. I'm just like, they just gave us 10 years of really amazing stuff.
Yeah,
they're in a dry season. It's fine. They can pick the thing back up. They can rework it. So
yeah,
for sure. This has been a delight. This is actually my first interview ever regarding this type stuff. So yeah, thank you for hitting me up and asking me to be a part of this. I am now in the staple of the lore of Love Me All the Same, which is now available on all streaming platforms. So go listen to it, have a good time, vibe out. Yes. Is that vinyl going to be available for people to buy?
Oh yeah, I've still got like 70 more. So.
Oh, okay.
Really?
All right. All you record loving hipsters, you have a new record to go buy, and he's celebrating Jesus. So, make that happen. All right, man. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to your wife as she scolds you for rearranging your apartment.
All the stuff we talked about with like learning, I'm going to have to activate that.
Yeah.
God's proud of me for trying. I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to be,
Yeah. Just get her some more ice cream. She'll be more.
Yeah. No, dude, she loves ice cream. That's actually a really good idea, buddy. I might go do that.
For sure. I'm gonna come out to Nashville. We'll all get ice cream together or something.
Yeah, you really do need to come out to Nashville because I'd love to meet up one day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Bye.
Boss.
Oh, I need to